September is almost here, and if you're growing anything in containers on a patio, deck, or balcony, there's a good chance at least one of those plants is quietly asking for some attention. Before we get into it, one clarification, because the title uses the phrase cut back, and I don't want that to be misleading. Cutting back doesn't mean the same thing for every plant here. For some, it means removing diseased foliage. For others, it's about taking off late flowers or fruit that won't have time to mature. And for a couple of these, the right move is to leave the plant almost entirely alone and just clean up one specific problem. The action depends on the plant, and knowing which one applies to yours is most of what matters. This also isn't about winterizing anything, and it isn't tied to one exact date. Depending on where you live and how much growing season you've got left, some of this can wait a few more weeks. What doesn't change is that September is a good time to actually look. A plant can seem perfectly fine at a glance while something's already building underneath. Moisture sitting in dense foliage, a few lower leaves quietly carrying a fungal problem, or energy still going into fruit that's never going to finish. So today we're going through 6 familiar container crops that a lot of you are still growing and harvesting right now. What to look for on each one, what's actually worth cutting, and why. If this kind of plant-by-plant breakdown is useful to you, go ahead and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Let's start with the one where the real issue isn't up top at all. Number 6, eggplant. If you've got eggplant in a pot, it's probably still flowering, and by September, some of those flowers and the tiny fruit behind them won't have time to size up before your growing season ends. That's worth knowing, but not for the reason people usually assume. It isn't that every new flower is stealing something critical from the plant. It's simpler than that. Fruit with no real path to maturity is just occupying space and resources that could go toward what you're actually going to harvest. The detail most people miss is lower down. Look at the leaves sitting close to the soil or resting on the mulch. Every time you water, that splash carries soil-borne fungal spores straight onto them. And that's usually where a problem gets its start. So that's where you cut. Leaves touching the soil, removed close to the main stem, along with any very late flowers or tiny fruit that clearly won't finish in time. Everything above that, the mid and upper canopy, is worth leaving alone. Those leaves are still feeding the fruit you're trying to ripen, and eggplant tends to respond better to a light hand than a heavy one. Take more than that lower ring of leaves, and you risk stressing the plant, which can slow ripening down instead of speeding it up, the opposite of the goal. That's a fairly contained cleanup, but the next plant is different, because the clue that actually matters isn't on top of the leaf at all. Miss it, and it's easy to mistake a serious problem for something harmless. Number 5, basil. If you've got basil in a pot near the kitchen, there are 2 things it can develop this time of year, and they get confused constantly. A dusty white coating on the leaves that mostly wipes off with your finger is powdery mildew, manageable, not a huge deal. But if you're seeing yellow blotchy patches on top of the leaf that look boxed in by the veins, flip it over before you decide anything. A gray or purplish fuzz on the underside points to basil downy mildew, which tends to show up in warm, humid conditions and is the more serious of the 2. Here's the part worth remembering. Cutting doesn't cure either of these. It manages them. For powdery mildew, remove the affected leaves and give the plant more room to breathe. For downy mildew, harvest whatever clean, symptom-free leaves you can actually use. Then remove and bag anything showing symptoms rather than leaving it on the plant. If it's already flowering, pinch the flower spikes out too, so the plant keeps putting energy into leaves instead of seed. Either way, leave a healthy set of foliage in place. You're managing the problem, not stripping the plant down to nothing. And if downy mildew is confirmed and it spreads significantly, don't expect a trim to solve it. At that point, you're salvaging what you can, not saving the whole plant. The next one is still producing heavily, which is exactly why the decision gets tricky. Because how much of that growth is actually worth keeping depends almost entirely on how much season you've got left. Number 4, pepper. Pepper is one of the more useful checks on this list, because the right call really does come down to timing. If your first frost or the end of your growing season is still weeks away, there's a good chance the plant is setting flowers and small fruit that have no real chance of coloring up before conditions turn. Those are worth removing, new flowers, and any fruit too small to realistically finish. What you don't want to do is start opening up the plant by removing healthy leaves to get more light onto the fruit. It feels productive, but pepper foliage is doing real work. It's shading fruit from scorching in direct sun and keeping the plant fed. Cut too much of it away, and you can end up with sun scald on the very fruit you were trying to help ripen. If you're somewhere with a lot of growing season still ahead, you may not need to do much more here than clear out anything visibly damaged or diseased as you come across it. The next crop is one a lot of container gardeners already notice something's off with. They just aren't always sure how much of the plant is actually worth saving once they see it. Number 3. Zucchini and summer squash. The main thing to watch for here by late summer is powdery mildew, that white dusty coating that seems to appear almost overnight once the canopy fills in. There's no clean percentage that tells you exactly when a leaf has to go. The more honest guideline is to look at how the leaf is doing. If it's heavily coated and clearly failing, it's mostly generating more spores at this point, rather than doing anything useful, and that's worth removing. A leaf with some light coating that's still green and functioning can generally stay right where it is. While you're down there, it's worth a quick look at the base of the main stem for small holes or a sawdust-like residue, a sign of squash vine borer. In most areas, the main window for that pest has already passed by the time September arrives, so this is more about assessing damage that's already happened than catching something new. If the plant is still upright and producing, you can generally leave it be for now, though it's worth clearing away any collapsed vines at the end of the season, since that's where the pest overwinters. The next crop has a completely different problem, and the shape of the yellow spots on the leaves alone will usually tell you which disease you're looking at, before you even flip the leaf over. Number 2. Cucumber. If you've got cucumber climbing a trellis or a cage in a container, late summer is when this one tends to run into trouble. And again, there are two things to tell apart. A white powdery coating across the leaf surface is powdery mildew, but angular yellow spots on top of the leaf, spots that look boxed in by the veins rather than spreading freely, paired with a gray or purplish fuzz underneath, point to downy mildew. That one shows up specifically in the back half of summer and can move through a plant quickly once conditions are humid enough. For powdery mildew, remove what's affected and open the plant up for airflow. For downy mildew, take off leaves showing clear symptoms as soon as you notice them, and if it's already spread significantly, removing the whole plant is sometimes the more sensible call. There isn't a reliable home treatment once it's established, and taking it out protects anything else nearby in the same family. Symptom-free foliage is worth leaving in place. A couple of spotted leaves isn't a reason to strip the whole vine. And while damp leaves overnight aren't a guarantee either disease shows up, they do give both fungi more of an opportunity. So watering at the base rather than overhead, where that's practical, tends to help. And now, the plant most of you are almost certainly growing, and the one we're checking in this month genuinely matters most. Number 1. Tomato. By this point in the season, container tomatoes usually have a section of lower leaves that look worse than the rest of the plant, and this is the distinction that actually matters. Not all of that is disease. Some yellowing lower down is just normal aging, and some of it can come from watering or nutrient swings. But leaves with distinct dark spots, especially low on the plant and working their way upward over time, are frequently early blight or septoria leaf spot, two common fungal diseases that both start at the bottom and climb from there. That pattern isn't random. Watering splashes soil onto the lowest leaves, and any fungal spores sitting in that soil or in old plant debris get carried up along with it. Dense growth and poor airflow around the base only make it worse. So the leaves worth removing are the ones down low with clear spotting or disease symptoms. Take those off with clean pruners. Healthy foliage, even down low, is still doing real work for the plant. So this is targeted removal, not a blanket strip. And assuming every yellow leaf means disease is one of the more common mistakes people make here. If you're growing an indeterminate variety, and you're roughly 4 to 6 weeks out from your first frost, topping the plant, cutting back the growing tips, can help redirect energy toward ripening what's already set. since new flowers this late often won't have time to mature anyway. It's not something every tomato plant needs, and determinate varieties generally don't benefit from it at all. So think of it as an option worth knowing about, rather than something you have to do. Either way, clear out any fallen or diseased leaves sitting in the container while you're at it. One thing that applies across all 6 of these: don't leave what you've cut sitting in or around the container. Diseased material left nearby can reinfect the same plant within days, which quietly undoes the work you just did. Anything clearly diseased is better off bagged and put out with the trash rather than added to the compost pile, since most home compost setups don't get hot enough to reliably kill fungal spores. So, quickly, one more time. Eggplant, clear the lower leaves and anything that won't mature in time. Basil, learn to tell powdery mildew from downy mildew before deciding what comes off. Pepper, remove the late flowers and small fruit, but leave the canopy alone. Zucchini and summer squash, take the mildew-heavy leaves, not the whole plant. Cucumber, that angular, vein-bound yellowing and the fuzz underneath tell you exactly what you're dealing with. And tomato, clear out the genuinely diseased lower foliage, not just anything that's turned yellow. None of this guarantees a plant sails through the rest of the season free of problems. What it does is reduce the pressure that's built up over the summer and put whatever energy the plant has left where it actually counts. So, take a look at your own containers this week. Which of these 6 are you growing, and did anything here surprise you? Let us know in the comments. And if you're somewhere unusually warm, unusually cool, or already close to the end of your season, mention that too, since it helps shape what we cover next. If this was useful, hit subscribe so you catch the next one.